Well, I'm nervous, guys. Okay. When I found out that the topic was spicy, I was really attracted to that idea. One, as a person that makes spicy food sometimes, but also as a person that is going through a journey of my own life where I am learning that it's okay to be spicy. So I wanted to kind of share that journey that I've been on and have a conversation with you guys about whatever questions you might have. So let's start. Who am I and why am I here? This journey starts a little over 10 years ago. This guy, William Charles Thomas II, Mr. Cincinnati, invited myself and a person I was dating to Cincinnati. And he gives the best tours you've ever had in your entire life. And we were, seeing Cincinnati, and he convinced us to move to Cincinnati. So myself and this person I was dating, we decided to move here together. And as we were moving, she broke up with me. And, it was a tragic situation. And then Billy was so kind and generous to let me move into his apartment for, the date always changes. I always say it was like a couple weeks, but it's probably closer to a couple months. But he, being the great person that he is, showed me Cincinnati, and he showed me how wonderful it is. And he showed me all the amazing things that were happening here. And that is where I fell in love with Cincinnati for the first time. And as we were walking through these neighborhoods and going through all these bars, we also noticed that there was something that at least challenged both of us a little bit. We saw that as we were walking to these bars and establishments, there were people who looked just like us. They were out in community, having a good time, talking and enjoying where they were. And we would go to these new places and that dynamic would change. And we saw that there was something that can be done to make Cincinnati an even better place where all people, regardless of their backgrounds, how much money was in their bank account, whatever, could participate in this revitalization. And that was one of the first times I decided to be spicy with Billy. We decided that we were going to shake up OTR a little bit, and we were going to show some of these developers and show some of these decision makers that it's possible to be different. And that it required us coming into some of these rooms and saying things that folks didn't want to hear, asking questions that people were uncomfortable to hear. And I think now you would see that OTR is a more diverse place than it may have been otherwise. And that showed me, at least, that being spicy and making people sometimes uncomfortable can end up being a good thing. Making folks sweat sometimes can be a good thing. So that's where the mortar journey first started. That was 10 years ago now. And again, that's where I first thought it was okay to be spicy. But in my heart, I had this passion for cooking. I had this passion for tacos. And I would make tacos for Billy and my friends, and they would encourage me to keep going. And I was convinced to buy this $1,000, by Billy again, $1,000 backyard barbecues, probably for like quinceañeras, cart off of eBay. And I did that. And I would start cooking on street corners and over the Rhine for my friends on the weekends. And folks will continue to come back. However, I did, and to be honest, still do to this day, have some insecurities because I'm not a chef. I go to culinary school. As much as I wish in my heart I could be Mexican, I'm not. That quesadilla video, I want a quesadilla. That's me, I really, as much as I love Mexico, I'm not Mexican. But I put my heart into it. I put my soul into it. And I put myself out there to be quote unquote spicy, to put my own spin on things, to bring my own flavors to things, to be different and to open myself up to potentially making other people feel uncomfortable. And I think that is where true freedom is. This ability to show up, this ability to be the person that you want to be, and being free of potentially making people feel uncomfortable and being all right with that. It was joked by Sarah that I was listening to Kanye on my way here. And that's one of my pump up things, to listen to Kanye. And the song St. Pablo, he says he is this generation's closest thing to Einstein. And that is a pretty bold statement. I'm not sure I agree with it, but it's a bold statement. But I love Kanye so much because he puts himself so far out there that he leaves this space for other people to say, I might not be Einstein, but maybe I can be something a little bit more. Maybe I can be a little bit different today. Maybe I can try something a little bit more. And I love that attitude. And I think in some ways with Padaroja, what I'm trying to do with that or in other areas of my life is putting myself out there in a way that makes other folks feel a little more comfortable to try something different, to push himself a little bit further, to, again, quote unquote, be spicy. And I found, particularly with Padaroja, there are folks that would come and they'd say, you guys got that spicy stuff? You know, they want to eat the things that I'd be so worried that people would find too hot or to be palatable for their palates. But people want those kinds of things. I think the same thing applies to all of us. I think people want us to be able to be spicy. They want us to be able to walk in our strength and our power, and it's okay. And I think from my life experience as someone who has, worked with some great people and started a nonprofit that's helping entrepreneurs across the United States now, that has started a restaurant without any culinary experience, that's taught myself how to speak Spanish, that ran my first marathon last weekend, is running another one in 2 weeks. You guys are so kind. I think that from my life experience, from my story, everyone is different, of course, but I'm trying to show my own way that it's okay to, again, put yourself out there, to be unafraid and unapologetic about being spicy. So when the topic was presented to me, I immediately jumped at it because I think all of us in so many ways should be spicy. I think Cincinnati needs more spiciness. One of my biggest critiques, I love Cincinnati, my favorite city, and I'll say that until I'm blue in the face, but there's this complacency that sometimes can be so pervasive. There's a tendency, I think, over time to conform and to be like everybody else, because if you're not like everybody else, then sometimes you can feel like you're different, or you can feel like you're uncomfortable, or you can feel like you're alone. And that's okay too. And I can also just be honest and transparent and say, I feel alone a lot. I feel like there's a lot of spaces that I don't always feel welcomed into, and that's also okay. It's okay to name that, and it's okay to find community of people that will make you feel supported. So many people that are in this audience today are folks that I consider my friends and my family who have supported me and been there for me. And no matter how much I put myself out there, they let me know that they'll always be there for me. They'll always support me. And I encourage you guys, again, to do the same things, because those folks will show up. They will be there to support you. And I think our city would be better off with you guys being able to do that in the same way that I've been better off doing that. So I can talk more. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But I really want to encourage everyone here that it's okay to be different. And it's okay to put yourself out there. And it's okay that you make people feel uncomfortable, because that's life sometimes. And I think we'll look back and we'll be more glad that we decided to be courageous. We'll be more glad that we decided to make people sweat than if we didn't do that. Actually, one more thing. A couple things. As I'm thinking about some lessons or some things that I've implemented that have been really important for me in my journey, the first one is I've had to be very honest with myself about the person that I am and the things that I might be doing that make me show up in a less authentic way. Everybody is different, but these are the things that have worked for me. One is like I mentioned before, have started to take up running. Running for me has been something that provides a safe space for me to think and to process and to have all this energy in my body. I can let it out. And there are some great running groups. Andrew's here and some guys from my other running group. Will's the fastest runner in Cincinnati, elite runner, ran a 5-minute mile. But being in these groups, it pushes you, right? It gives you confidence that you can do hard things. So I encourage you to think about what different exercises you can do to give your body some time to get energy out, but also to feel more comfortable in the skin that you're in. The second one for me is I decided to stop drinking. And I'll be 9 months sober next month. Thank you. Everyone's different, but for me, it's something that's important for my journey, because I decided that I deserved to live a life where I can keep promises to myself, to see what happens, just to give myself some time, to see what my life could look like. And I think all these things that I've been able to do, a lot of that stems from me being able to keep promises to myself, me being able to be disciplined, me being able to trust that the person that I want to be, I can actually show up as that person. And the third one is being vulnerable with your community. There's so many people again in this room that have seen me in my worst a lot. I'm a Pisces, and I, sometimes can be very emotional. And so many folks have given me the space to show up however I want to show up. And that only happens if you're able to be vulnerable and transparent with the folks around you and give them the opportunity to show up for you. So I say that's very important too. So those are 3 things I would say that have been really important for me in my journey. Maybe it helps for you, maybe not, but that's it. Any questions? Thank you. Yes.
You talked about being spicy and being Pisces, so I think you're a spicy Pisces. As a spicy Pisces, being emotional, like how does that help you? And then where do you find that that's like something you have to manage?
Wow. That's a great question, Jenny. Thank you. I appreciate it. The managing part is really important. I'm glad you brought that up. Another thing is I have a great therapist. And someone that can talk to you professionally, who can help me walk through all of my life's challenges in a non-judgmental way. So that is one way that I definitely am able to manage my emotions, which can be all over the place. But also, I'm also kind to myself. And if I have a bad day, if I'm all over the place, I still love myself no matter what. So I think it kind of goes hand in hand. I think it's really important to have those folks in your life, both in a professional way. You pay them to listen to you complain. But also you have your people in your life that are your friends who will hold you and support you no matter what. I think those 2 things for me have helped me be able to show up in my emotional way, but also manage it in a way that keeps me safe.
You mentioned maybe some imposter syndrome about like not being a chef and not being Mexican. And I guess I don't have a specific question, but like I was wondering if you could talk about that more and maybe like how do you combat that?
How do you combat that? I think for a lot of people, it's always there. I think no matter what. I mean, maybe it's my own issues with self-love that I'm still wrestling with that show up in a lot of ways. That could definitely be it. But I think no matter what I do, I always see people who are doing something better than me. And I always compare myself to them. I mean, this is G, one of the best artists in Cincinnati. He was sharing about all the amazing things he's got going on in his life. And he's my brother, and I couldn't help but compare myself to him. It is what it is. So I think imposter syndrome will always be there. As much as I work on it, and I will continue to work on it, it is what it is. But I think having the ability to name it and to talk about it, and I think I'm trying to work on it, just being kinder to myself, being present and appreciating the journey the way that I may have been always looking ahead in the past, just trying to be more present, I think definitely helps. But I think it'll definitely be something I struggle with for a long time. Anybody else? Yes?
It's like a lighter question, but any particular reason why Mexican food that drew you to that? It's delicious.
Has anyone been to Mexico City? Some folks? Mexico City is the greatest city in the world. Besides Cincinnati, sorry. Cincinnati, Mexico, that was disrespectful. Mexico City. Mexico City is the greatest city in the world. And when I had al pastor tacos for the first time, like my brain just did something crazy. I didn't know what was going on, but I was like, whoa, this is nuts. And I came back to Cincinnati and I tried to find it and I couldn't find it. So I kept going back to Mexico City because I had to figure out what were they doing to this food? How is it so delicious? And I think Mexican food, al pastor tacos, it's a great representation of why Mexican food is so great. There are so many layers and complexity to flavors that come from all over the world. It's like this melting pot of history, of clash of culture, of flavor, and it's all in this one dish, So I think that's one, just the layers of the flavor. 2, I think with a lot of times that I've been in Mexico City, the times I've eaten there, there's this sense of community and how it brings people together. And that's exactly what I want Potter Roja to be, a place where everybody feels welcome. The taco is a vehicle for people to come together. And I love that Mexican food represents community. And I love, like, when I'm in Mexico City, there's colors everywhere, whether it's people, whether it's food, whether it's architecture, whether it's design and art. All that color really resonates with me. So I think, again, all of those things are things that I love about myself and about Mexico. And my hope is that Padaroja and the food that we serve can also encapsulate all those great things about Mexican food, Mexican culture, Mexico in general. Strongly recommend you guys go to Mexico City. Hey.
Best taqueria in Mexico City.
Best taqueria in Mexico City. That's a really hard question. Taqueria Orinoco, just for nostalgic purposes, is a vibe. Taqueria Gabriel, also for just the vibe. A lot of inspiration for Padaroja from there. But I would say the best taquerias are the ones that are most likely to give you some stomach issues. You know? You gotta kind of flirt with danger a little bit, you know? You'll find those on the street. So Campechano, which is a taco that we have at Padaroja, it's a mixture of pork shoulder, beef brisket, and chorizo. There is this taqueria. It's like random taqueria on the street, and you see them cooking with their hands right in front of you. I also worked at a taqueria in Mexico City, and I think our food standards in the US are way better than they are in Mexico City. And I see them cooking with this food, and in my head I'm like, that's problematic. I know that they're not supposed to be doing that. But the flavor, they put some, maybe it's like germs or something, I don't know what it is. Fire though. It's called Los Tacos Tony, and it's definitely my favorite place, and a place that got a lot of inspiration for our Campechano tacos at Padaroja.
Yeah, I appreciate you talking about like the emotions and stuff, but I tend to be on the other side, which is...
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, but how do I deal with like people in my life, but also professionally when they do, because I work with a lot of creatives, and you know, how do I respond better to when they get, I tend to shut down when people express their frustrations or their emotions in the workplace, and it comes from a lot of creatives I work with, but I have to. So will you give me a little bit of advice about how I can help to manage my own emotional response to them being and my response is often to shut down.
I feel that, for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely been my response a lot in the past too. And I'm still learning and growing in my leadership journey, so keep that in mind. I think the best thing to do is to lean in and try to shut off your emotions and give that person space. It's really hard to do that, particularly if you may not agree with what they're saying. But I think it's really important as leaders sometimes that our feelings and emotions come second. And we serve first and give that person a chance to speak, give that person a chance to be heard. And however we're feeling about it is secondary for that person to feel, again, heard and appreciated. It's definitely something that I've had to learn. I think working in a restaurant happens a lot. People that have all kinds of stuff that's going on, but I have to listen to them and give them the space to feel heard and listened to. And I think once you're able to do that, they will show up in a freer way because they feel comfortable and safe in that space. So I would say it's hard not to shut down. I think as men also, we tend to shut down. But I think it's best for us to try to take that part out of the equation, lean in, listen, fight that urge to shut down, and try to be as present as you can to listen and to be heard, or to give that person a chance to be heard.
On the leadership note, what is your brand of leadership? And it has to be twofold. What do you look for in a team? Skills, qualities, and you can identify that that person's going to fit. I can lead this person, they can lead me.
Sure, good question. Two answers. My personal brand of leadership and my toxic trait is I don't know what I can't do, so I try anything. It gets me in trouble a lot, I just try things and see what happens, and I've been in some weird situations because of that. But my brand of leadership, another toxic trait is I will say what I want and expect that person to do it perfectly after me telling them to do it. Or I'll show them how to do it and expect them to do it perfectly because I showed you how to do it. You see me do it, why can't you do what I told you showed you to do? Man, that gets me in trouble a lot too. So what I've learned from that is a lot of coaching, a lot of hand-holding, a lot of support, a lot of being alongside your team. I think I would hope if my team were here, they would say that they've seen me working alongside them through every step of the way. they've seen me roll my sleeves up in the same way I'm asking them to roll their sleeves up. So a lot of leadership for me is showing that you're willing to do the hard work right alongside the same people you're asking to do the hard work too. And also providing clear instruction about what you're trying to do and providing space for things not to go the way that you wanted it to go. So I would hope that my team, if they were here, they would say that's been effective. They might say some things behind my back, but you can judge for yourself at Potter House.
Wondering if you could talk more about passion to business and like overcoming that, and like especially maybe you don't come from a business background, and like any advice or wisdom or things like that.
Passion and business?
To business.
To business? Yeah, that's a great question too, thank you. I think to be in business, you have to be obsessed because it's so hard. It's terrible. It's so hard. Oh God. Oh God. It's so hard. And if you don't like really want it, right now my life is like the really boring stuff, like paying bills and resolving conflicts and just not fun stuff. But I'm obsessed. It's all I think about. And I think if you're not in that mindset that it's all you want to succeed and to see this dream come to reality, the life and like the things will give you so many excuses to say no or to fail or to just walk away. And if you're gonna put yourself in that position to do all that, there's no point in doing it unless you're all in. So I think that you have to be overly passionate, because you also have to inspire others when you don't feel like being there. When you're tired, when you're sick, when you'd rather be at home in bed, you still have to show up and inspire other people. So if you can't operate, if you can't fill your own cup, be your own biggest cheerleader and allow that abundance to then support other people and inspire them, it's not gonna work, because there's so many things that happen. I just pay my taxes, y'all. Damn! It hurts so bad. But I'm passionate about it, and I'm gonna keep going. Michael back there, Michael Millay, great guy, great human being, my business partner. There have been times where we have conversations, and I'm talking to Michael, and I'm like, I don't know how we're gonna pay people, and our payroll is due that week. That's a hard conversation. And it's a conversation that is so humiliating, because you show up in these rooms, people are like, oh, you're doing so great. You go to they think all these things are happening, but they look at your bank account, they don't know what's really going on in there. You look under the hood, they don't know what's really going on in there. And you have to show up and be passionate and keep going no matter what. So I think, again, I'm gonna keep beating this dead horse. If you're not 100% passionate about it, if you don't believe in seeing this thing to the finish line, don't start. It's not worth it. There's so many easier ways to make money than being an entrepreneur. So many less stressful things you can do than being an entrepreneur. Again, I also talked about the loneliness part of it too. The grind, I was saying this to my friends yesterday, it means something completely different to me now. I thought the grind was like managing chaos. You're always doing something. Every day is a new problem to solve. That's not, for me, what the grind really is. It's showing up every day, doing the same thing, and hoping you got the result that happens down the road. It may not happen, but you show up every single day because you believe that this vision that you have is possible in the future. That is so hard. I would much rather be in Mexico City right now, I guarantee you that. But I'm here. I'm grinding with my team, and we're working towards something big that I believe is going to happen. But it is so, so, so hard. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing.
You guys went through a big change of food truck to store. Like, I think a lot of times creativity kind of gets pushed towards the designer, more like the aesthetic. But how have you had to be creative in your business, like even in that specific transition? Like, but there have been times where you've had to be creative.
For sure. I mean, there's so many problems that people come to you with that you have no idea what to do. Yesterday our internet went down, and I was like, I don't know what to do. But had to be creative in solving it. Like, that's why I love Kanye again. Man, I'm a Kanye stan, aren't I, Billy T? I'm back, my bad. There's so many things, you just have to be creative. Like, things are gonna go crazy, and you gotta figure it out. There are problems you have to solve with conflict. You gotta find out a solution to that, hope that it's the right thing. Like the creative side, I think I used to have a lot more of a role on the creative side, but you hire competent people, and you trust them to do a good job, and they can run off and feel confident in doing that. So I think we have a great creative team, and my role is a lot smaller than it used to be. And I think our brand is stronger because she has the confidence to do it. And I'm not looking over her shoulder, but that's hard too. So I would say my creativity now comes in, how can I lead this organization? How can I lead our team to see the vision and be clear about that and give them the space and the opportunity to grow and to develop versus me having to give them direction. But that's hard because it's not the fun stuff that it used to be. I should also say that creativity can show up in other ways, whether it's joining you for runs or it can be a whole host of other things. All my creativity doesn't always go into Poderoja. I think one thing I've had to learn, talking to Justin about this, is that I've had to learn not to put all of my identity into what I do to make a living. Because if that one thing isn't going well, then I can assume that as my whole life not going well, and that's a very dark path to go down. So I would say to try to find as many ways as you can to have that creative outlet, to invest your time and your energy so that it's not all into just one thing. Yeah. Two more questions.
I promise I'll be brief. I spoke with Tunde Way and Chef Harris and Chef Gabby and people. They're using food as a vehicle to either express their art or tell a story. What do you hope to do with the large work that Derrick has beyond Poderoja?
Damn, that's a good question.
You want to come back?
I appreciate that. That was a great question. I hope that I'm just like Kanye. Just kidding. My hope is that people can see that I was willing to try things and to fail and to be comfortable with that. Like, when I first moved to Cincinnati, there were people who would try things and didn't go the way they wanted and they'd move. And I think that's a really bad culture. I think it shows a lot about Cincinnati that people would try things and they felt they had to move. That says we're not a forgiving place. That shows we're not a place that supports creativity the way that we think that we do. But people like us, have to be the ones that keep moving forward. So my hope is that whether it's things that I do with Poderoja, I have some other ideas that I want to hopefully launch one day. But I'm hoping that the big picture is there can be some inspiration and insight into trying new things and to not being afraid to fail, and hopefully also creating community that will lift each other up if we're feeling down and we're supporting each other through the thick and the thin. I think Cincinnati is a great place because I think everyone here loves Cincinnati. There's this weird support for all things Cincinnati. Like, no matter how bad the Reds are, people show up. No matter how bad La Rosa's pizza is, which is terrible, people still love it. It's true. Y'all love that cardboard for some reason. No matter how bad Skyline Chili is, people still love it. Actually, like once or twice a year. What? It's over. I lost the crowd. I lost the room, guys. See, y'all show up for that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I think we can show up for each other in the same way. So my hope is that things that I'm trying to do, the spaces that we're all in, we can show up for each other in that same way. I really, really think community is the most important thing in my life. And I want to make sure that all the people that I'm in conversation with, we all create that sense of community. Because I want Cincinnati to be the great place that it can be, but that only happens if the people that are here feel safe and supported and cared for. Billy T.
One, you the man.
Try and be you one day.
2 questions. 1, Drake or Kendrick? And then second question, in which ways do you hope to be even spicier?
Oh, Billy T. First answer is Drake. Who in here had Drake as their top 5 most listened to Spotify artists? 2. Wow. That's crazy. It's Drake. And it's just crazy. Billy thinks that J. Cole's the best rapper, and I think that that's weird. It's crazy. Okay, the second thing about how can I show up more spicier, I want you to answer that question too, honestly.
It's not my day.
Okay. How can I show up spicier? I'm still working on, self-love. I'm still working on feeling like I am worthy and valuable and all of those things. So I think the first and most important thing that I can do right now is learn to love Derrick. And I think until my foundation is at a place that I feel safe and secure no matter where I go, then I'll be able to feel more comfortable being spicy. I want to say thank you to all you guys. This is my first presentation in a really long time. I haven't really had a chance to do this, and you all have definitely provided the space for me to feel safe and secure and comfortable. So I'm very grateful for you guys, and maybe we'll keep doing it. So I'm done. Thank you all.